In terms of our passive behavior, let's take a company like Netflix, for instance, who track absolutely everything that you do. Everything that's trackable is tracked. They know every time you pause, every time you fast forward, every time you rewind, what you go to and from when you look at a show and then go to a different show. The entire thing creates an algorithm, and that algorithm can then predict what they should be producing as content. So the whole thing is cyclical. Your behavior drives content production, and the content that's produced enables your behavior to be reaffirmed. Now, that doesn't sound too much of a problem, were it not for it to also then be limiting our ability to access information that may, let's say, help us think differently, or help us be critically thinking of things that may expand our horizons, may enable us to think differently, may enable us to dream of a better outcome for our lives. But instead, what happens is arguably called either an echo chamber or a filter bubble, where the things that we access tend to be the things that we wanted to access. And overall, the dominion at play here, the control mechanisms at play here, are to enable us to be in a relatively mediocre state. Something that doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to think or do anything that much differently. We're meant to be compliant factory workers. In a TED talk that I gave in 2013 in Portugal, I was pointing out that throughout history, the most impactful way of manipulating and controlling society is to limit the amount of information it has access to. And we are meant to be addicted to the noise. We're not meant to be seeking our signal. It is important that we feel slightly ill and we feel slightly scared about the powers that be and their overreach of control that of course they wouldn't do, but do they really? And what about that news story? Oh no, that's a conspiracy. This whole thing is a pattern we are meant to be in. My view is that it's okay if the behavior doesn't match what we would class as moral. What is not okay is us not having the right to choose, the right to decide what happens with our information, what happens with our identity, where that goes, how it's used, how it's monetized. These things we should have an option to choose for. And it may well be that very, very few people care, but the type of market that I'm talking about, the people I'm talking about, are people who seek VPNs for their browsing. They seek ad blockers. They seek private messengers. They seek tools which are privacy-enabling technologies. Those people, who I think arguably have increased in volume over time, are the people that we're creating self-sovereign technologies for. And if people feel that's not relevant because these things aren't really an issue, then that's okay too. I'm not trying to admonish or demolish the systems and the powers that be. I'm just trying to enable the humans to have a choice in the game. I think that's fair, right?